Good morning. We are continuing to work with our fractions today. We started off Unit 2 last week with the equivalent fractions. Today we are working on PO12. PO, so it's a power objective. It's one that we have to pass. I can write a fraction in its simplest form. So we've talked about that. And we're going to really work on it today because it is that important for us to know. We have a whole objective to simplifying our fractions. So it starts off with the Math Council of the World. A couple of you just asked me, is there really a Math Council of the World? And I would say, I'm not a member of it. Maybe it's a secret club that Mr. Schultz is a member of. You might need to ask him. But they do decide what all the rules are for math. One of them is to always simplify fractions. So whether or not Mr. Schultz belongs to the secret Math Council of the World, we do know that it is true. We always need to simplify fractions. Okay? So always, always, always when you're finding an answer in fractions, simplify it. So for example, instead of 3/15, we write 1/5. And instead of 20/30, we write 2/3. Each pair of those fractions is equivalent. So what we worked on in CO11, we could multiply them by the same scale factor. To go from 1/5, we can multiply by the 3, from 1 to 3. So if we multiplied 1 times 3, we get 3. 5 times 3, we get 15. So it's got that scale factor of 3. So going backwards, we could multiply it up. And to put a fraction in its simplest form, you need to find that scale factor that will make the number smaller. So instead of multiplying it up, what is the opposite of multiplying? Dividing. So we need to find that scale factor that we're going to divide by. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So if we look at this, what was our scale factor that we divided by? 20 divided by what gives me 2, Isabel? 10. And 30 divided by 10 gives us 3. So it's a scale factor of 10. We can simplify that out. Sometimes we don't find the biggest factor to factor out, and we have to simplify again. So if we look at that 20/30, we could say, I can divide it by 2 because they're both even numbers. 20 divided by 2 is 10. 30 divided by 2 is 15. I went smaller. I'm done. Am I actually done? No, because I can divide another factor out. I didn't find the scale factor the first time. I just found one factor I could divide out. What else could I divide it by, Jillian?
Sorry, not I'm blanking on it.
Think of the factor, buddy. Not 3, but what? 5.
Yeah.
I could divide a 5 out of both the 10 and the 15. Jillian first said, 3. I can divide 15 by 3, but I can't divide the 10 evenly by 3. So I know that's not a factor of both numbers. You have to be able to divide both the numerator and the denominator by the same factor. So if I divide 10 by 5, I get 2. 15 divided by 5, I get 3. So I get that same answer of 2/3. If I look at this, I had divide by 2 divided by 5. 2 times 5 is that scale factor of 10. So if you don't find that biggest factor to divide out, always look to see, can I go even smaller? Sometimes you have to simplify a couple of times, and that's okay. Always check. Because I always have people say, I simplified. I got 10/15 done, but you didn't go as small as you can. So it's your job to always see, is there another factor that they both share? So you know a fraction is in its simplest form when there are no more scale factors, that there's no more common factors you can divide out. Show how we simplified the above fractions. Well, I just did that up there. But you're gonna write it down here if you didn't write it yet. I divided the 3/15 by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So we get that 1/5. The 20/30th, if we found that biggest scale factor, 20 divided by 10 is 2. 30 divided by 10 is 3. Now you try it with 18/21. So think, what is the biggest factor that 18 and 21 share? If we don't find the biggest one, can I go even smaller? What scale factor did you use, James?
I used 3, so it'd be 6/7.
So if I divide 18 by 3, I get 6. 21 divided by 3, I get 7. Is there another factor that both 6 and 7 share? No, just a 1. Dividing anything by 1, it's the same number. So we don't have to factor out a 1. So 6/7 is as small as we can go. So that scale factor 3 is the biggest factor to divide out. Using your calculator, you can find the decimal value, divide the numerator by the denominator of the original fraction and your simplified fraction. If the decimal values are exactly the same, then you simplified correctly. Because like I said, up here, when Jillian first said, oh, 10/15, we can divide out that 3. I divided it by 3 and I said, okay, 10 divided by 3 is 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. I did my math wrong. Here's how you catch it. You use your calculator and you would do a numerator divided by the denominator. So if I did that, of my original 20 divided by 30 gives me a 0.67. I'm just going to round it to that 100th place. Now if I did 3 divided by 5, I should get the same answer, but I didn't. I got 0.6. They're not the same decimal. So I know I did my math wrong. So that's your way of checking, did I do my math correctly? Because it wasn't supposed to be divided by 3, we wanted to divide it by 5. So then that would give me 2/3. If I put 2 divided by 3, I get the exact same decimal. So when you are going to do your work on this, you're going to show me what your scale factor is that you're dividing out, what your simplified fraction is, and then I want to see what the decimal places that both fractions are. They should be the same. I want you checking your work. So this is what I'm going to want to see. Let's do the first couple together. 18 divided by 24. What do you think is a scale factor I could divide out, Olivia?
3.
I can divide a 3 out. 18 divided by 3 is 6. 24 divided by 3 is 8. Can I go even smaller? Gigi, what else can I divide out? Divide by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 3/4 is as small as I can go. I'm going to circle it so I know that's my final answer. Then I'm going to check my math. 18 divided by 24 gives me what decimal? 18 divided by 24. James?
0.75.
0.75. Now I'm going to check. Is 3 divided by 4 0.75. It is, you're right. So I did my math correctly. I can't go any smaller than 3/4. There's no other number that they share. And they both, 18/24 and 3/4 both equal 0.75. I did that one correct. I need to see all this work. I do not want to see us doing mental math. On here it says show your work. This is not a mental math page. I want to see what you are dividing out. So show me what you're dividing, show me what new fraction you get. If you have to divide again, divide again. If you guess the first time, oh, I can divide a 6 out of both of them, and you only have to simplify it the one time, that's great. If you have to simplify it twice or 3 times, that's fine. So let's look at 21/24. What can I divide out of 21 that I can divide out of 24? What is the scale factor, Gigi? I can divide a 3 out of both of them. 21 divided by 3 is what? 24 divided by 3 is what? 8. I can't go any smaller than 7/8 because 7 is a prime number. I can't divide that by anything else. So now I'm going to check my math. 21 divided by 24 is 0.875. I need to check is 7 divided by 8, 0.875? It is. So I've circled my final fraction, my simplest fraction, and I've written my decimal point because I checked both fractions to make sure they equal the same decimal. If you write down 21 divided by 24 is 0.875 and then you check 7/8 and it's a different decimal, you have to go back because somewhere you did your math wrong. And you have to figure out what math you did wrong. Did you divide wrong? Did you just write the number wrong? So go back and double check your work. So I should see your math. If I only have to simplify it one time, I have my scale factor of 3, and then I have my answer, and I should see your decimal place. So I should see all of this work on your page. Do we have any questions? So if anybody is watching at home, we hope you're well, and we hope to see you soon.